Do you need to find a community manager? Hi everyone, I'm Carmen, the community coach, and I help people build communities. I get DMs in my Twitter every day asking for help with this question. People looking to hire a community manager and have absolutely no idea where to start. Now, if you've just started your community and you know that it's really important to have a community manager, maybe you're not that entirely sure why, but you just know it's important. Or maybe you've launched your new community and you found yourself in one of the four situations. First, your community is dead. No one is talking. You can hear crickets. Or maybe you're in the complete opposite, where there are messages going off the charts and your team just cannot keep up with the noise. Or maybe the people in your community are super frustrated with the lack of support. Or perhaps your team just feels really lost because you have no idea what to do when it comes to community. Well, chances are, if any of the above have resonated with you, you need a community manager. I've been hearing this so much recently, especially from the NFT community world, because there are so many new projects coming on board and there's a lot of people that have no idea how to hire a community manager, and that's understandable. This is really new to a lot of people. I created a guide especially for you guys that are in the NFT space, and it's a guide to hiring your NFT community manager. I'll leave a link to this guide in the description below. The first thing I look at in this guide is actually who would make a good community manager. So knowing the type of person that you're looking to fill this position, I think is really helpful. I've been a community manager for well over 7 years. And I feel like over this time, I've really been able to nail down the skills and attributes that I think make an awesome community manager. The first attribute that I would say is probably the most important when it comes to hiring a community manager is finding someone who cares passionately about your project or your business, your service, your product, whatever it is that you're building a community around. Make sure you find someone that is so passionate about that. They should be as equally passionate as people in the community itself. Second of all, find someone that actually cares about the other people in the community and their needs. You want someone that sees the bigger mission here. They should be really high on empathy because this is a people-oriented job. You are going to be dealing with people every day, every hour, every minute. So a community manager really needs to have those empathy skills and be able to communicate well. In terms of the platform itself, this is agnostic. What I mean is, are they able to communicate well with the community, whatever platform they're on? If they primarily chat on Discord, then your community manager has to be really good at being able to communicate over Discord. Making sure that they're not misunderstood in the written text is important. Maybe they have to host a lot of Twitter spaces. Therefore, they have to be comfortable getting on a Twitter space and talking to people and making them feel welcome, making them feel like they're safe and included. So being able to communicate with the members is vital. And along with that, they have to be a really good listener because 90% of the job is actually listening, taking notes to what people are saying and how they're saying it, and then taking action accordingly. So they must be a good listener. I'd say they also have to be able to multitask because a community manager usually does several things at once and thrives on that. And lastly, they have to be authentic. You have to find someone that is willing to have real conversations with people and not wear this like professional mask. That is not the role of a community manager. They're there to develop relationships with the people in your community. I should add, having a tough edge is pretty important as well, to be honest. The job is not exactly an easy one. They may have to deal with tough or toxic situations that happen in the community. And so just having somebody that has the resilience and the drive and ambition to keep moving forward with the bigger mission of the community and not get too bogged down with some of the personal tough stuff that may come up. I think that's really important to add that. So I think these attributes are the essential building blocks for what makes an awesome community manager. Now that I've described the who, let's move on to how you can actually find your community manager. I'm going to give you 4 options as to how typically you would find a community manager. The last one is the one that I would highly recommend if possible, but all 4 of these are practical options. One may suit you now, and in a few weeks' time or a few months' time, or maybe in a year, you might find that a different option suits you better at that point. So let's go through them. The first option is allocate someone in the team to be the community person or do the community stuff. This is tough because your team may already be stretched and the community management role is actually a full-time role in itself. But I totally understand the practicalities and the reality of the situation. A lot of people are bootstrapping their project or their business and they may not have the budget straight up to hire a community manager. So it may be that you spread community management tasks within the team, and maybe a few team members are moderating and maybe some are dealing with a content strategy, and then you try your best to find the team members that have the specific strengths needed within that community management role, and you just allocate accordingly. This I would only recommend as a very short-term approach. Of course, there are pros with this where you have zero additional budget required. You can get started as soon as possible. In reality, it could be a really good interim solution. But there are cons with this, and that is that the team members may actually not be skilled at all at the tasks required. It may take away from their time and focus from other important tasks considerably, especially if they have no idea how to manage a community. The community health can suffer greatly in this option. If the team especially cannot handle the tasks required, you may find yourself in a dire situation further down the track where you suddenly have dead Discords or dead community platforms, and now you're trying to revive it. It could end up being a lot tougher down the road to do that. Second option is to hire from within your friends or family network and assign them the role of community manager. Perhaps you're paying this person, and it may be in different ways, whether it's monetary or whether it's through free NFTs, for instance, if you're an NFT project. The pros are, again, you wouldn't have to go out and try and hire a official community manager. So the time taken means it's limited and you could get started as soon as possible. It could also be a good interim solution. And, you know, if your family or friend is super passionate enough that they are totally cool with not taking a lot of money, then it could be something that meets your budgetary requirements. The cons are that the family members or friends may also not be skilled at the tasks required, and maybe their heart's in a good place, but they didn't realize the extent of what community management involves. It's usually a lot more than people realize behind the scenes. It would be even worse if they didn't care passionately about the project, but they felt like they were just helping you out. That would not be great for the community, and the community health would suffer if, again, they couldn't handle the task required or they did it half-heartedly. That in return could also cause some unnecessary personal life drama with your friends and family, and who needs that? It could get a little messy. So let's look at the third option. You could hire externally via job websites or contracting sites such as Fiverr. This is actually the default method for hiring community managers for many years in the Web 2 world. And I'm not going to lie, many of us community managers have built our careers based on these traditional methods. It is a fantastic way to find talent in the community management industry. But having said that, you are going to find that it will take more time to find your community manager. And you also need to make sure that that person is really passionate, again, about the topic or about the industry or the product or the service that the community is around. Because if you're just finding somebody that is external to actually manage the day-to-day community, you want to make sure that they really are understanding of the members and their needs and their goals. The pros are, yes, you would find someone that is considered more of an expert in the field. They would be able to get up and running faster once you did hire them. They would have a lot more plans in place. If you needed help with strategy, for instance, it's essential that you find somebody that really does know what they're doing so that you don't end up wasting months and months and months of somebody else trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we actually build this community and engage and grow and scale? There is huge benefits in finding somebody that does have that experience. Well, the cons are you could be paying a lot more money in cases like this because you're obviously hiring for experience. Not a bad thing if you have the budget. For me, the biggest con is if that person is not an expert in the actual field that you're building community in, then they may still be able to build that community, but they won't be able to do it at such a level as somebody that is an expert in that field. And that brings me on to the fourth option, which is my favorite option. It is my most highly recommended option. I've been recommending this option for years, even in the Web 2 space, and especially in Web 3. If you guys are in the Web 3 space, this is the number one recommendation from me as community coach as to how you should hire your community manager. And that is to hire from within your community. Nobody knows your community better than your members who are in your community already. They already know the conversations taking place. They know the people in the community. They know your project. They know your mission, your goals. They are passionate generally about the project. That's why they're already in the community. And like I say, this is everything for a community manager. Finding someone that is passionate and understands your members is everything. Now, they may not have the years of experience with community management, but those can be taught. But the passion and the drive for whatever it is that you're building your community around, that can't be taught. There are plenty of resources out there, free and paid, to help people understand how to manage community. So that part I wouldn't be worried about. I would be more worried about the attributes of the person itself, the who makes a good community manager. And that's what I've talked about earlier on in this video, as well as are they somebody that really understands your community and the bigger mission at hand. But now I'm just going to talk to the people that do have a community up and running and this option does apply to them. So now I can hear you guys saying, okay, well, we're in the community, we see a whole bunch of members. How do we know which one is the best one for being a community manager? How do I actually go about hiring this community manager within the community? So first up, look at your most engaged and active members in your community. Take note of how they converse with other members in the group. Are they helpful? Are they friendly? Are they optimistic? Are they generally giving everybody else good vibes? That's already a really good start. If you find some people are, maybe they're considered experts in your community, but they converse in a way that may come off as a little standoffish or condescending, then that's probably not somebody that I would highly recommend on the shortlist of being a community manager. Yes, you could also train those types of people as to how to communicate more effectively, but it's just going to need a little bit more work to get them to a point where they are a successful community manager in your community. So definitely go for people that have already got those key skills, if possible, around how to communicate to other people with empathy, with kindness, and with a general positivity about themselves. So with those people, you can either go ahead and DM them directly, say that you'd love to have a chat, see whether they're even interested in being a community manager. You can talk through the details with them. How many hours would you require per week? Maybe your community is just starting off and the hours wouldn't actually be a lot, but then over time, maybe it could be something that you converse with them and consider giving them a full-time role. It could be something that happens. And I think that there's a lot of people in the Web3 space, especially, that are very open-minded as to what that next job looks like. And there's a lot of hiring going on in communities in Web3. So just keep that in mind. There's another option in terms of how to hire within your community that I think is really interesting. And I've seen that pop up in the Web3 space a lot. And that is having an active call out to the community, asking directly who would be interested in being a community manager. You could create a new channel, for instance, that is solely focused on finding this community manager, and you could accept applications in that channel. I've actually noticed there was an NFT community called Animetas that did this, and they accepted applications in a new channel. They made it public where other members could have a look at these applications and vote and decide, well, who should that person be? And I just absolutely love the fact that it was decentralized hiring in effect. Why not get the community more involved with it? It could be a huge win. Just you have to make sure that there is somebody in the team that is managing that closely, because you don't want to have that get out of hand, potentially toxic comments, or this person shouldn't be right for the role, etc. So you would have to have somebody manage that process if you did want to take it to a public channel. Know that you can have a channel that is literally accepting applications, or maybe you have a Google form if you want to keep it private. It's completely up to you. There are different ways to do this now. And I think especially in the Web3 space, people are definitely hiring within the community because they're finding those people that are passionate about the project already. And that is such a huge win in being a successful community manager to start with. I'd say don't be obsessed with finding someone that has previous experience in community management, because of course this would be beneficial for them to hit the road running. You can learn a lot on the job, and there are plenty of other experienced community managers out there that can help guide them. Plus, like I said, there's plenty of free resources and other paid resources out there to help them quickly get up to speed with anything that they feel they are lacking the skills or knowledge in. I just want to add some red flags because I think it's helpful to know what you should be avoiding as well when hiring within. I'd say anybody that is super focused on the compensation or the extrinsic rewards is someone that I would say you should put lower on your shortlist. If there's somebody that is really focused on, well, how many NFTs am I going to get? How much ETH am I going to get in my wallet? They're completely obsessed with that type of compensation, and that's all they're really chasing. It's probably not enough for them to be a community manager, because you're generally going to find that people focused more on the greater mission and are passionate about the actual project itself are going to be the ones that stick around. They're more likely to deal with the tough situations that come up, and they do come up in community. Find those people that are more passionate and are focused on the intrinsic rewards. Again, if you see any signs of potentially toxic behavior from these members in the group, I would say avoid that. So if they dismiss other members, or generally they may appear rude, even if they're not meaning to, again, the way that you communicate is really, really important. So I'd say look for people you can see that they're well favored by other members in the community. The people that you want to avoid are people that aren't comfortable with being their authentic selves. Community thrives on authenticity. So if you've got somebody that is almost robotic, or it just doesn't really exhibit any signs of warmth when it comes to dealing with other people, I'd say that's going to be a person that wouldn't naturally thrive as a community manager. So try to find someone that is willing to be authentic, is willing to share along with other community managers, because that's going to create that safe, authentic space that you want to create in a community. That's the type of community that is truly considered successful, is an authentic one, where real conversations between members happen. So I hope you found that helpful. Because so many of my requests are in the Web3 space, it has been a little bit Web3 heavy, but truly note that this could apply to any type of community. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you find my guide helpful. Again, the link is in the description below. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter @acommunitycoach. If you have anything that you want me to cover in future videos, please also comment and let me know. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.